I've been asked to take a few minutes and describe one little piece of how we think we can improve water efficiency. We're at both ends of the spectrum. We make the old products, ductile iron pipe, fire hydrants, valves, drain pipe, that kind of thing. And we have operations mostly in the United States, but in the Middle East, in South America, and Asia as well. But we've acquired a little software company that has an operating system. So if you think about this room, think about Windows 8, what runs your PC is the size of this room, just the physical software. Microsoft also has a .NET version that's meant to be for mobile purposes. And imagine it's about the size of this podium. Snap, which is made by a company called Synapse that we acquired, their operating system is about the size of the tip of my finger. Why that's important is that the simplicity and the size of the operating system leads to the low cost and low power use of the operating system. So we have a very tiny little operating system that's very robust and stable that sits on a chip. The chip sits on a radio. The radio can communicate either 100 feet or 3 miles. But what it does, it automatically sets up a mesh network. That mesh network, then you can upload applications just like you download apps on your phone. And what's unique about the operating system is it allows for if-then sort of distributed computing. So our idea, we've deployed this in hospital environments where we need to use sensors to monitor where people are, who wash their hands, HVAC systems, where equipment is. Any application you can envision can be written and uploaded to operate on the software, on the operating system. And there's really an unlimited number of sensor points. We have a lighting system in Ontario, Canada, with 10,000 lights that are connected into this operating system. But the cool thing about it is that you can program it to where out on the operating system it can do if-then distributive decision making. So the thought we have, and the reason Tom asked me to come talk about this is we have not deployed it in a water environment, but we want to. And if you imagine in an urban environment where you have a dense number of water lines, sewer lines, valves, hydrants, we can put transducers down in the water. We can measure the flow of the water, but those are just sensors. And each module or node, which is what the operating system we call is, can sit on top of a fire hydrant, let's say. Well, one of the advantages of it being very small is each of those modules probably costs $3, including the chip and the radio. So imagine a mesh network that goes across the water system in an urban environment in which you can gather the data real time of the water being moved, how much, where it is, where is there stagnant water in the lines. You know, a third of our water gets lost every year to leaks. Be able to identify where that could be coming from. I know there are other exhibitors here that have meters where they can measure that sort of thing. Our operating system would be great to measure the data coming off of the meters rather than using the cellular base, because inside the mesh network is free. Basically, the data is gathered in the mesh network. It goes to a gateway where then it goes through the internet for the download of the data. So it's one small example, I think, of how we can take many, many steps to improve the efficiency of the water systems. We talk about here the limited resources that we have. I think this is a good example of how we can preserve the resources in terms of how we use it. I'd like to next introduce Mr. John Spears, Director of Clusters and Skills Initiatives of the Small Business Administration, to talk about how to help innovative entrepreneurs. John.